Hello everyone, Polymath USA here. In this presentation we are going to discuss the media. Who owns the media? Who controls it? Who are the players? Who is it that you're getting your information from? Most of your information we're going to talk about, really it's mainstream media. Of course there's a lot of players outside of the mainstream media that are making big waves in the information war these days. A lot of them you may know about. We'll just maybe discuss some of them in another presentation. But those particular folks, a lot of times are doing their own research and validation of stories rather than just believing what's being told. So having said that, let's just get into this. There are 6 media companies that exist today, down from what used to be 88, and they're all getting their news from 2 agencies, Reuters and Associated Press, which it was my understanding that those 2 were at some point one owned by the other. I'm not sure now what the connection is on that. We're going to dig into that a little bit more. But there are in fact only 2, so you could suggest that there's really only one if they were that closely knit, but I don't really have any information on that right now, and I'm going to dig into that a little deeper. So what we're talking about is the news that's being reported on ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, excuse me, and others, is all coming from 2 sources, Reuters and Associated Press. Let's talk a little bit more about who these are. All right, Reuters was previously owned by the Rothschild banking family. Let's look right here. You see where this is stated right here. A lot of folks don't believe that there was a Rothschild connection to the media, but there absolutely is one, and I'm going to prove it a little bit more here in a moment as we get a little bit deeper. But here you have it stated very clearly that it was previously owned by the Rothschild banking family. They sold Reuters to the Thomson family in 2008. The new company is called Thomson Reuters. Okay, the Thomson family owns a majority of the shares. So now we've got a family owning the majority of shares of Reuters. So think about the influence that one family could have. Let's take a quick peek at what this link says here about Thomson Reuters. Here we go. Now this is Wikipedia. We can always have a little bit of skepticism maybe about Wikipedia. It could be true or not since it's editable. But I find that generally speaking, Wikipedia is a pretty reliable source most of the time. Thomson Reuters was created by Thomson Corporation, purchased of British-based Reuters group. Okay, so Reuters used to be British. I remember that, reading that in others from other sources. Used to be a British organization. Let's dig a little bit deeper here. We've got it connected to Scottish Television, Roy Thomson, London Stock Exchange. That's a lot of stuff that we probably don't want to get into right now. And it's majority owned by the Woodbridge Company. So here we see that Thomson Reuters was created by the Thomson Corporation's purchase of a British-based Reuters group, and it's majority owned by the Woodbridge Company. So we have another case here where we have this particular news agency is majority owned by a company. I'm not going to get into the Woodbridge Company right now, but I'm starting to paint a picture here for you to where you can understand that that it's certain groups of folks and corporations and companies that are controlling these 2 news agencies where almost all of the news, well, matter of fact, I could probably safely say 100% of the news coming out of mainstream media is coming from either Reuters or Associated Press. In this case, we can see that Reuters has some pretty interesting influences. Okay, now, this is an interesting statement right here. Reuters shall at no time pass into the hands of any one interest. group or faction. However, that restriction was waived for the purchase by the Thomson family. Okay, so the Thomson family purchase changed a lot of things. Now let's get into the Per Gillenhammer, chairman of the Reuters Founder Share Company, explained that the Reuters Trust First Principle has been waived for the Thomson family. Okay, all right, so that just explains that. But let's get into a little bit about Per Gillenhammer. Now, I've got another page here that's not Wikipedia that I've pulled up to show you some things about Mr. Gillenhammer. All right, Mr. Gillenhammer, connected to Volvo, European Roundtable of Industrialists. All right, so let's reiterate right here. Let me go back to it here. Where is it? Here we go. Bear with me. Per Gillenhammer is chairman of the Reuters Founders Share Company. So this is one of the companies, of course, that is controlling Reuters. So now let's get back to a little bit about Per, however you pronounce it, whatever. Maybe it's Per. Per. All right, Swedish guy, Swedish businessman who was for 24 years the CEO and chairman of Volvo. So we have an industrialist, okay, who is now Gillenhammer is now vice chairman of Rothschild Europe. So the question about is there a Rothschild connection to the media, I think we've answered it pretty clearly right here. Here we go. Here, this particular article is clearly stating for you that he's the vice chairman of Rothschild Europe, and he's also still connected to and has a very important position with Reuters. All right, so that's some pretty important things to consider right there. Now, other work. Let's look at a little bit of look at some of the other information about this guy and what are his connections. So we've got the Royal Swedish Academy of Engineering Sciences, University of Gothenburg. You know, a lot of stuff that a lot of industrialists, elitists like himself are going to have as badges of courage, if you will, to convince the rest of us that he's a really great guy and he's done a lot of great stuff. Connected to pharmaceutical company Pharmacia, so he's also connected to the pharmaceutical industry. And if I'm not mistaken, let me see if I can find it here again, but I believe I read earlier that his political leanings here is Liberal People's Party. All right, so the kind social liberalism the Liberal People's Party used to support. So he's into social liberalism, Liberal People's Party. So there you have it on this guy. This is the story on Per Gillenhammer. Now let's go back to what we were looking at earlier. So that's a bit about Reuters. Now we've got the other leg of this bipod, so to speak, of the media, Associated Press. The claim is that it's a nonprofit company owned by its members. Okay, who are its members? All right, its members are basically a bunch of newspapers. All right, so they're dictating what journalism is and what's being reported on and what's being produced out and fed to you. Everything else is being excluded. Keep in mind that an important part of the media is exclusion, not just inclusion. So excluding information from you is one of the ways they control you. Board members, Lee Enterprises, Community Newspaper, E.W. Scripps Company, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, Journal Communications, Swift Communications, Cowles Publishing, New Media, New York Times, Cox Media Group, ESPN, the Omaha World Herald. Okay, so basically, Times Publishing, it's a bunch of newspapers and media companies that own the AP. So you basically got the Fox, Garden, and Hen House here. So now let's look at some of the other entities that have holdings here or that are a part of the media. These are not necessarily holders or stakeholders in Associated Press, but these are other corporations that own media. General Electric, NBC, NBC Network News, Nightly News with Tom Brokaw, Meet the Press. Okay, so this is all basically the stuff we're talking about here. This is stuff that's all, these are all programs and programming that's controlled by General Electric. The MS and MSNBC means Microsoft, of course. So Microsoft's holdings, other holdings, it says here. I'm not sure if they're talking about other holdings in General Electric or not, but I think they are. GE, yeah, obviously. GE Consumer Electrics, GE Power Systems, GE Plastics. All right. So let's look at Westinghouse. Westinghouse Electric has television holdings. Here we go. CBS Network News, Evening News with Dan Rather. He may be out of the picture now. CBS Morning News, Country Music Television, National Network. Look at all this stuff that's controlled by Westinghouse. Now let's go down to Viacom. Television holdings by Viacom. Paramount, Spelling, Showtime, the Movie Channel, Nickelodeon, on and on. Here, let's look at Disney. Here we got Disney Television, Touchstone, ABC, include 10 stations. ABC Network News. So ABC Network News is actually being controlled by Disney. Time Warner, TBS, America Online. Let's look at television holdings here for Time Warner. CNN, HBO, Cinemax, TBS Superstation, Turner News Network, Comedy Central. All right, so Comedy Central's backed by Time Warner, right? Comedy Central leans one side very heavily in the political spectrum. Why do you think that is? Because they're given their marching orders by Time Warner. Let's go down to News Corporation, which is Fox. Okay, television holdings. All right, Germany. Well, Vox Germany, 49%. They own a bunch of stuff in other countries as well. 22 stations, extensive worldwide cable. Media Holdings Company. Actually, that's still under Fox. So you're starting to get the picture here. What we've got going on is we've got a media in the United States and for the most part across the world, across the globe, that is owned by and controlled by, and the content is controlled by really 6 media companies. We're talking about the 6 media companies that are owning most of the stations and the TV content, and then you've got the majority of them, if not all of them, probably 99 to 100% of them, getting their news from Reuters and Associated Press. So, yeah, the most dangerous weapon, not a gun, it's a government-controlled media. Can we suggest here that our government is controlling the media? I think to an extent they are, because when we have a situation where corporations have way too much control and influence over our government, then we can safely say that, in a sense, that the government is controlling the media, because the government's getting their marching orders from somebody else. Usually it's going to be elitists, large groups like Bilderberg, Trilateral Commission, corporations like Microsoft and Apple and Facebook and Google and a bunch of others, Westinghouse and General Electric and on and on and on. There's a bunch of them. So that's basically it for today on this one. I'm going to come up with a bunch more videos describing a lot of other things about the media and a lot of the trickery that's being used. But this concludes this one today. Thanks for watching. Hit the share button and the like button. And please tell all your friends and family about this station, about this channel, this YouTube channel. I'm going to be doing a lot more great content coming up real soon. That's going to be very informative for all of you. I think that it's important for all of us to know where the media comes from and who's controlling it, because it has everything to do with what information you're actually getting and what's being excluded. That's it for today. Look forward to having you join me on the next presentation. Polymath USA here, signing out.